fall of man. As dew settled, a weightless membrane on the morning's color, he stood 3 floors up, visible only to those who would lift their eyes to heaven. The image he offered was patterned by the lattice of a balcony wall, a slow-moving thing, like a beetle lugging its world across a tree's shadow. Omnipresent, he was there when we swept away the previous day's secret, its discarded veil of orange, fractured green, and dust. There when we emerged soap-sanctified, books heavy in our arms, foreheads gleaming like polished copper, to wind our mischievous way to school. He was there dripping sweat when we returned, his speech louder but unchanged, a thurible of monotone mumbles, hissing now and then when doused by a splash of clarity. Thou shalt eat bread. At 4 p.m., predictable as a lizard's nod, he'd go indoors and cook for his children, Ato and Ya, the boy with a scar the shape of a leaf, and the girl with wild brown curls forever anchored with a thin yellow headband. The duo kept his money in ever-shifting hiding places to save him from the man he had become. But if you stayed in the dappled stencil of a mango tree shade, daydreaming while nibbling fruit or burnt toast until all forms seeped into darkness, you'd see him re-emerge, lay the timber of his forearms on the balcony's wall, and shudder. There is no name for the sensation a child feels watching a giant cry. We only knew him as Berima, which translates weakly to man in English, making him more slippery than fine-spun silk. The mysteries of his grief given seed to the myriad stories that flourished in the valley of our youth, till thou return unto the ground. My siblings fed on the most colorful, the resurrection theory, that went like this. Once, 13 years before we knew him, an Englishman disappeared from a life in London so his wife could collect an insurance payout for losing him. He came back to life in the birthplace of his wife and mother, only to hear his beloved had taken ill. Months later, his orphan children, 1 and 2, are shipped to their closest living kin, his mother-in-law, who delivers the children, but not the wealth, leaving him heartbroken, etc., etc., etc. There were 16 such stories. My concerns were in the present, now past. Every night, subject to the unpredictable threat of falling mangoes, I watched him sip and sway in the night's wind, his thickening waist visible above the balcony wall's lip, wondering when he would lose his balance, tip and tumble from his tower.